it really requires trainers to go, or coaches to go, okay, maybe it's even take time, sit down and talk it out for 5 minutes. Where are you at? How did that feel? You know, how if we do this, let's see how you feel when we do that. Okay, cool. You're feeling good there. Great. Let's do this, and kind of guide them and talk them through what they're going to do. But I think it's in that initial phase where the client comes in and says, oh, I want to do this. And the coach is then like, oh God, this is what they want. But I know that it's not what's going to be good for them. And then they panic.
At Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym.
Everybody starts with the best case scenario in mind.
Never sell anything to anybody who is not in the market for what you have.
The only reason we work out is to create the opportunity to recover.
And the healthcare provider of the future is the coach.
And this is why you guys need to get paid well, because what you're doing is really, really hard work.
Joslyn Thompson Rule, welcome to the Active Life podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
I'm excited to have you on. I think it's amazing that we can have a conversation right now. A person in London, a person in New York, different times of day, in real time. I can see you, you can see me. Technology just blows me away.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, now it's next level, isn't it? Like, we can all do so much more via this after the year that we've had. So it's gone next level, but it's very cool.
I'm waiting for the days where we take like a small CD size piece of equipment and I put it on the couch across from me, and a hologram of you wherever you're at pops up.
Yes, I hope I live for that day. It might be a way off, but you know, maybe it'll sooner.
Yeah, we'll get to that day. All right, so I want to jump right into it with you. One of the issues that I see in the fitness industry on a regular basis, as we mentor coaches and trainers and gym owners alike, is that trainers train to the client's expectation instead of training to what they know and value for the client's pursuit of a goal. I'll give you an example. They don't give the client the workout that matches the way that the client reports they slept last night, that they skipped breakfast this morning, that they're extremely stressed from yesterday's work day, that they're anxious about what's going on with their kids. Instead of having that client come in and do something very low intensity, they still give that client the burn it off. Let's go hard because I want you to feel like you sweat and I want you to feel like your abs were on fire.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem because I think that it's the trainer's responsibility to determine what the value of the day is going to be. And I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I love that question so much. And it's one that, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, 18 years. And I feel like newer coaches find this even more tough to navigate. So, you know, if a client does come in and they're like, yeah, I'm so stressed, this is happening, I just need to sweat it out. They've already made that request to the trainer of, this is what I need to do. So all of a sudden that can put the coach on the back foot of, oh, but you know, this is what they want. But deep down, I know if I now give them more, that's not what they need. And I think it takes a level of, you know, certainty and confidence as the coach to communicate that to the client that, okay, look, you've had, you know, this amount of stress here. If we do what you want right now, it might lead to this. And communicating that in a way that you still get to do the thing that you want, you still get them to do the thing that you want them to do. And I think that that's a skill in itself. I think that often coaches can think that that's exactly what the client is coming for, to check that box of, yes, I've sweated hard. That's what fitness is, right? That's what going to the gym is, right? And that then the client goes away going, that coach was great. They gave me exactly what I needed. And then they can often do that again and again and again until same client comes in, however in however many months' time. And it's just like, I feel so tired. I don't feel motivated. I feel down. I don't feel, and it's kind of like, yeah, because you've been doing too much for too long, and now your body's done. If you don't stop it first, it will do it for you. So I think that it really requires trainers to go, or coaches to go, okay, maybe it's even take time, sit down and talk it out for 5 minutes. Where are you at? How did that feel? How if we do this, let's see how you feel when we do that. Okay, cool. You're feeling good there. Great. Let's do this, and kind of guide them and talk them through what they're going to do. But I think it's in that initial phase where the client comes in and says, oh, I want to do this. And the coach is then like, oh God, this is what they want, but I know that it's not what's going to be good for them. And then they panic. So you have to trust yourself to go, I know what they need. I'm going to give them that. And over time, they will, of course, come to trust you as well as a coach. But it's a tricky one.
I think it comes down to the trainer or the coach knowing they only have to be one chapter ahead of their student. It's one of my favorite quotes from the movie Catch Me If You Can. They're like, how did you do this? And he's like, I only have to be one chapter ahead of my students. And the trainer or coach only needs to be one chapter ahead of their client. And so if you know, that's probably going to happen to you one day. One of your clients one day will probably walk in and say, I just need to burn something off. And you're like, that's a bad idea. Prep for it now. It's not happening today. So prep for it now. Know how you would respond.
And then they're not on the back foot when it happens. So,
yes.
It's so good.
And then one of the things that one of my mentors taught me a while back was the person more prepared for the conversation gets what they want from it. And so what that means is if you've already mentally prepared for that conversation and your expectation every time somebody comes in is they're going to say that. When they do, you're like, I thought you might say that. And you go.
Yeah, so good. So good.
The way you described it, I have a concept that I like to talk about, and I'm interested in your take on it. The coach is going to give them what they want to chase that feeling, that 1 out of 24 hour feeling, check that box, did it, got it. I call that fitness entertainment. And the other box would be fitness coaching. Fitness entertainment, I define as an hour or less of activity that somebody does to escape the other 23 hours of their day through a healthy habit. Yeah. Right? It's a general process towards a general goal, nondescript. Where fitness coaching is providing a specific solution to a specific person at a specific time in a specific way to solve a specific problem, which makes the other 23 hours of the day even better. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of when you hear those two terms? Does it say anything to you, fitness entertainment versus fitness coaching?
Yeah, well, because, fitness coaching is just so much, it includes the other hours in the day, not just that one. So, the sleep, the hydration, the managing your stress levels, all of those things count in my mind so much more than that half an hour, 45 minutes, hour. And I feel like people are still chasing that. I just need to go in and do that thing and then come out and then I'm going to be good. That's that box checked. And they're often not interested in, well, actually, do you know what I'd love you to do instead of doing that today? I'd love you just to maybe focus on improving the quality of your sleep. Maybe. I don't even want you to get more sleep. I just want you to improve the quality of the sleep that you're already having. Because if I say that to, I don't know, a parent, we've both discussed, we've got kids, I've got 2 kids, you've got 3 kids. You say that to a parent and they're like, lol, sorry, you want me to get what now? More sleep. Okay, you just check in with my kids. But if I say to somebody, actually, what I would really love for you to do is just to focus on your sleep this week, that's less exciting for people. They don't get how that fits into the bigger picture, of their health and their wellness. We do, of course, but then it's like one of the things that I really encourage for people to do is to track how they're feeling, not necessarily even via apps or, you know, having a phone on your pillow when you're sleeping or whatever. If you wake up in the morning and you feel good when you wake up, guess what? You had a good night's sleep. You don't need the app to tell you that. Or you feel like you've had a good night's sleep, you check the app and the app is like, oh, you had a terrible sleep, and you're like, damn it, I've had a terrible night's sleep. You're now disassociated from what your body is telling you. So I think, again, you know, there's so much more to the job of a coach than just giving you that kind of half an hour highlight and making people feel good. And then people think you're a great coach and everyone's great and everyone feels good. No, that's not enough, because that only lasts for a certain period of time before they're like, hey, hang on a minute, I'm just not getting those results I was looking for, actually.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, let's have a little review of that, shall we? Mm-hmm. You know that sleep thing I was telling you about? Why don't we try more of that?
Right. Well, that's when I signed up to work with you because of all those butt shots you put on Instagram falls apart.
Are we going there?
No, okay. No, we don't need to go there. It's just, that's when it falls apart. You know,
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to leave that there. But so, you know, the way I look at it, and it's interesting you brought up wearables, because I wanted to segue to wearables and technology next. I see so many trainers who seem to be intimidated by the wearable and the digital fitness environment that's coming like a tsunami, you know, and gym owners too. And I recently spoke with a gentleman named Muhammad Iqbal. I don't know if you know who he is or not, but he owns a company called Sweatworks, which is behind the technology for a lot of the technology-based companies. And he said a really interesting thing, which was the beautiful thing about all this technology for a trainer is if you will adopt it, you get the benefit of somebody else spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make your job easier. If you resist it, you become the person who resisted technology. And it builds a bunch of negative energy for you. Where do you sit on bringing technology into your training sessions?
Yeah, I think it's really dependent on the individual, and I've used it at different times. And I use it with different people. You know, some people are really interested in you know, tracking and, you know, tracking on apps, and that's absolutely fine. I'm fine with it. What I am mindful of is when the tracking becomes kind of an unhealthy obsession, or it becomes, you know, too much information to deal with. So I remember I was speaking at an event a few years back, and I was talking about tracking and how you know, I think the more information you have about yourself for yourself, the better able you are to make decisions, you know, for your health and your well-being. And one girl put her hand up and she was just like, well, I track my sleep. I track this. I track this. I track this. I have all of these numbers. I now don't know what to do with all of these numbers. Or all of these figures. And so for her, it was too overwhelming. So I said to her, well, why don't you just simplify it down, give each thing a mark out of 10, you know, so your sleep, your, you know, whatever. And I said, you know, at the end of that week, have a look at that whichever one is the lowest number. And maybe that's your focus for the next week, to work on, you know, the one that was the lowest number in your week. Otherwise, the numbers kind of don't have any meaning. Now, if I'm, you know, an elite athlete and I want to track all of those things, and, you know, the you know, army of coaches and therapists and everyone around me want to work with those figures, great. I'm kind of old school, I think, in my way of, I feel that as a coach, when somebody walks into the room, I can kind of tell what they need. You know, you can see if they look tired. You can see if they, you know, aren't quite themselves. I remember there's an Olympic weightlifting coach I worked with, and he used to do the kind of classic, like, you know, jump the kind of, was it jump test, reach test, where you jump and you kind of reach up to the wall and see how high you can mark it. And that was how he measured how our training sessions were going to go. And it was very simple and very straightforward, but it worked. So I think that it's dependent on different people. I'm not tech necessarily. I'm more of pen and paper, but I do use different things for different things. So
that's interesting.
And I can see its use. Yeah.
My thought on that is that right now the technology isn't there yet. The technology is still very esoteric. And like you said, the more information you get from it, the more likely you are to be confused, especially as an end user. I think that for now, I actually think the technology is best in the hands of the coach in terms of all of your data gets transmitted to your coach, and your coach is interpreting it and helping make decisions with you, as opposed to, oh, it says I didn't get enough REM sleep last night, and it says I'm stressed, but I don't feel stressed. Should I be stressed? I have a friend of mine who used to have a Whoop strap, and he would wake up and be like, I feel great today. And then the Whoop would be like, you didn't sleep well, your strain is high, recovery day. And he was like, what? And then there were days he felt terrible, and it was like, get after it. And he just ended up throwing it away.
Yeah, definitely my feeling on those things. I'm just like, you know how you feel when you know, well, I say that, you know, then I guess our previous question was a client coming in and being like, I'm stressed, this is what I need. And obviously then that's our job as coaches to go, actually, no, but equally that's the thing, the strap telling you you're this and you feeling a different way. That's frustrating, you know?
Well, it's like a person investing in the market who doesn't have experience or knowledge in the market. Oh, you know, cryptocurrency is on a spike right now. I'm going to put all my money into that. Okay. Maybe not the best idea. Maybe a good idea. I don't know. I'm not giving market advice. It's not my skill set. But I think that, you know, we try to give people as much autonomy as we possibly can, and we need to be reasonable about where their capacity to make decisions for themselves ends. That's just, I'm not going to, just because all the tools are in the garage, doesn't mean I'm going to go fix my brakes watching a YouTube video and then test it on the highway. No, thank you. I'll let the guy who trains.
I'm going to leave it to the person who knows.
So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the term that Nike has given you, which is global master trainer or master global trainer, right? You smirk because I think you understand my line of question.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to speak on it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, well, what is a master trainer?
You know, for me, it's just, I don't want to say that it, you know, for me with the work that I do, the title doesn't matter. And I don't mean that I'm not, you know, grateful for, I don't know, being called whatever, but it just means that for me, it's always, I just have to focus on my work and get my work done and, you know, help others with my work. The fitness industry and the fitness world is full of incredible coaches and people. So I think that within Nike, that is a role that they've given to me to go ahead and train people and look after some other trainers and do my best to deliver the best work that I can with them. Beyond that, it doesn't have a like superiority status of any stretch at all. So it's just a name, you know. Yeah. If I stop doing good work, then it counts for even less, you know?
Yeah. The reason I bring it up is I'm sure we've all seen them. You go into the gym, there's a dude or a woman. The dude usually has a pot belly. The woman is actually usually pretty fit. And they're in
Where are we going with this, Sean?
What's that?
Where are we going with this?
Yeah, I got you. I promise. I'll keep it above level. They're in their 50s and they're listed by the gym as master trainer. And they're very happy to put the client who already has knee pain on the leg extension machine to make her knees worse when her goal was to lose 30 pounds because she wants to live long, happy, and healthy. And they're a master trainer. And then you ask, what makes you a master trainer? Like, I've been doing this for 30 years. Oh, amazing. Does that make me a master breather? Because I've been doing that for 37, you know? And I have a a belief that in order to be a masterpiece, you must also be a work in progress. And you strike me as, I mean, it's in your bio, you know, a perfectionist in recovery.
Yes.
which tells me that you're somebody who is constantly looking to improve. You don't need to be perfect. You can't be perfect all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I discovered a good long while ago that, you know, I think the thing that pulled me out of perfectionism was, you know, that something always gives. It just does. And to be comfortable with that. So I'm spinning this plate and this plate and this plate and this plate. Oh, that plate dropped. Okay, cool. That's fine. Something's always that's just gonna happen. And that for me, you know, helps me to not strive towards, you know, perfection. If I can always be a little bit uncomfortable, that's a really good spot for me to be. Because gosh, imagine if you asked me that question and I was like, well, Sean, it means that I'm brilliant. I would just be awful. You know, I think, you know, I'm, you know, 42 now, and I feel personally that there's just so much more growing and learning and a lot of uncomfortable growth as well, which I think is a really exciting place for, you know, I find to be. Whereas I was chatting to a friend the other day and she was like, Joslyn, what are you talking about? I want to be as comfortable as I can from here on in. And I'm just like, oh God, that fills me with dread. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Well, the difference there is you're interested in growth, and you understand that growth comes from discomfort, because we all have our tendencies towards comfort. So if we're living in discomfort, we're going to do whatever we need to do to become comfortable with what was previously uncomfortable, which is necessitates improvement. And when we've improved, something different will be uncomfortable, which will necessitate improvement to become comfortable again. Where it's an interesting paradox where I resonate with what you said a lot. Constantly pursue things that are uncomfortable because it's innate that we will want to make them comfortable. And in order to make them comfortable, we'll need to improve. Mm-hmm. Do you find it difficult to maintain and build relationships with people who have that mind, that they would rather just seek comfort?
What I do with people like that is I feel like you have, you know, different conversations with different people, you know, and I'm not going to talk about, with clients, it's completely different. You know, a client comes to you and they're like, you know, I want to do X. Do you think I can? And, you know, that's a different, it's a different relationship. But when I come across people, you know, with a friend of mine who said that, I just kind of, you know, had a little chuckle to myself, and that was it. Like, she is comfortable being comfortable, and that's cool, and that's not up to me to question it. She'd probably rather chew off her own arm than go through some of the feelings of discomfort that I'm going through. And that's cool. So we don't have to kind of have that conversation. But you give me somebody who, you know, and they're like, I'm doing this, but I wasn't sure about that, and it's a bit scary. And I'm like, tell me more. I'm in. I want to hear so much about it. So I'm so interested in that. I'm so interested in, you know, people who own their own businesses, because you know that that takes so much work, so much angst, so much everything. And you've got something in common with them. You know, not everybody takes those chances. Not everyone takes those risks. I'm a natural risk taker. And I'm very happy to start before I'm ready, because I think you just learn and you develop and you process along the way. So that's why I had to get rid of the perfectionist, because she was like, oh, let's make everything really perfect before we start. You're 5 years along. And it's like, oh, we still haven't started yet. Well, that's rubbish.
Well, so that I was going to push back on you, because you said you're a natural risk taker. No, you said you're a natural risk taker, but you also said that you're a perfectionist in recovery.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to be both. How Do you believe that we truly are naturally wired for risk or naturally prepared for it? Let's just answer A and then we'll get to B.
Yeah, so I would say that I was a perfectionist. I was raised like, there'll be no B's in this house. It's all A's. Like that was it. Like that was my, you got to be the best. You got to be the best. You got to be the best. And then I had developed. It was random. It was just like a complete switch. I ended up writing this program, a training program. I was like, it's going to be so perfect. I'm going to get out in the world. It's going to be amazing. Everyone's going to want to buy it. It's going to be cool. I prepped and I prepped and I prepped and I prepped and I prepped, had it done as a finished product. And I was like, let me just send it out to 20 people who are going to be, like my ideal people to buy. And I sent it out to these 20 people. I got 20 different responses back, all valid, all, I think I took on 80% of the changes because they were all absolutely valid. And it was a real lesson to me. And you thought you had something really perfect done and dusted. And then you put it out in the world feeling, all good about yourself and you got responses back. Maybe, just maybe, if you hadn't taken all of that time and just actually got going with it and put it out sooner, the whole thing would have been moving sooner. And so that was a bit of a turning point for me in just kind of starting before I'm ready and just going for it. And that's now how I do everything.
Was that painful?
But if I need to pull out the perfectionist, she's there if necessary for some last minute jobs.
We can tag her in. Was that painful for you? When I asked that, I'm talking about I'm going to put this out. I'm going to get showered with praise and love. And instead it's like, I would change this. I would change that. I think this could be better. I think that needs to improve. And it's chirp, 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 chirp. And they're all right. Was that painful for you?
Pissed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take us through that? Because I think it's extremely universal amongst many people who would aim to do any semblance of what you do, what I do, what we do at Active Life. I want to put this out, but if I don't do a good job, the people who get it will think I'm no good. The next time I put something out, they definitely won't buy it and they certainly won't refer people to me. So I need to make it great before I put it out. And then 6 months, a year, 2 years later, you're still working on it and the market didn't give you a chance to improve.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you only get to improve it once you put it out there. You only get to improve it once the end user is actually using the product so you can see what their needs are, and if you don't want to do, I also think particularly, if you are starting out, there are going to be less people who are going to find out about your thing than there are, when you've got, more experience or more eyes on you or whatever. So make those mistakes early because there's less people there to see it if that's your concern. But yeah, when I got it back, I was just like, well, that is so annoying because they're right. And God, okay, fine, I'll change it. But it was a big turning point for me just to be like, set a date, get the thing done, get it out there. You'll improve it along the way. And I look for that growth. I look for the things I need to change. I'll always do, I learned with a mental performance coach years ago, just a 3-question review of what went well. What would I do differently? What am I going to do next time? And I think that what went well is important because, if somebody has like a bad experience, a bad interview, a bad training session, it's important to pull out the positive thing. But then asking, what would I do differently? That's the real important one, because there's definitely going to be something you can pull out of, any bad experience that you would change. And then that gives you the tools then to move forward with. So everything I do that 3-question review and always implement that, what would I do differently and take it into the next piece.
Yeah, we start all of our staff meetings and all of our client engagements with who has a win to share this week. The idea being, let's celebrate something that you did well so that we can be excited about having done something well. And I've tried to create a way to have the team celebrate mistakes and that the win is in the effort in the attempt, it was in the dare. And that the mistake wasn't a loss, it was a learn. So I'm in very much agreement with you about those three things. It's important, it's valuable.
It's so important, yeah.
So what is a sports therapist? I'm in the United States. We don't have sports therapists. We have physical therapists with a sports diplomate or specialty, but what is a sports therapist?
Yeah, so when I did my, so of course known as PT, so it's personal training, physical therapy.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Same letters, different names. So sports therapy, what I did was, so that was after my PT, my personal training diploma, and that was primarily doing a lot of deep tissue massage, and then doing light injury rehabilitation alongside, you know, physios, osteos, whatever. So when I completed that, I went pretty soon into working with football physios or soccer physios. So I did a couple of seasons with them, and really learned a lot actually with them, which was great. And that was kind of the start into doing the sports therapy side of things. I do, you know, less of that now and really kind of incorporate it. I feel like if I hadn't have done that, I don't feel like I would be able to train people to the quality that I can. You know, it's just that kind of, you know, deeper understanding of the body. So it's always been very, very useful to me to have it, but I didn't necessarily go all the way down the physio road or the osteo road or whatever. That's a whole other many years of degrees and so on. So yeah.
Well, I don't know how much you know about us or me or Active Life.
Well, I did the weekend course. Come on.
Oh, you did?
I loved it.
You did do the weekend course.
I did. And I loved it so much. I loved, my favorite part was that, and I think this is really a real common thing, and it's something that's really missing in the industry, is trainers' ability to trust and think for themselves, and that there is not a, this is what this assessment produced, therefore I'm going to treat them in this way. Like, it requires more thinking than that to just go, all right, I'm going to check some boxes. So I loved that. And that's something that I think, again, is missing a lot from trainers now, or certainly, again, new trainers coming into the industry, that they want you've seen this, so do this. You've seen this, so do this. And it's not, it's like, actually think about the person in front of you, think about the body in front of you, and work with that. And you learn so much more. You know, I feel very grateful to this day that social media was not around when I started out. So it meant that I was in my gym, I had other trainers to look at. I was looking at their work. I was asking them questions. I could just get on and do it and get my hands dirty and learn from my clients. Like, clients teach you so much, you know. They're my biggest teacher, really. But you don't get to do that as much nowadays. I think there are too many distractions about what other coaches are doing, or again, it's that whole thing of, you know, we were talking about it in terms of putting a product out, but a lot of trainers are so scared to make a mistake, you know, and of course, rightly so. We're working with people's, you know, bodies. Of course, we don't want to, you know, do them any harm. But also, you know, you will learn when you work with people, and part of learning, as we've just discussed, is actually getting it wrong sometimes, you know, getting it wrong, you know, maybe a lot of the time, but still going, okay, cool, you know, particularly in those early phases, okay, cool, this happened, okay, let me go back and what I did, okay, what can I change here? And it's that thinking and going, yes, I can actually make some decisions here, I can do that, rather than, let me just check the book. The book said this, and on this course they told me to do that, so therefore I'm going to do, you know, that doesn't work. That's then not that relationship that you want with your client. Well, so the course is ace. Everyone do it if you haven't done it.
Did you do it in March? Is that when you did it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because you said weekend, and we often do it on Thursdays and Fridays, and every third or fourth month we do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
You said something that I thought was important to put a pin in, and that was, if you're only learning protocol, I saw this, therefore that, So I do this. The problem becomes, and trainers who do this know, you're not prepared to answer the question. Why? You're not prepared to answer the second why. Because the first why is, well, we saw this on the test and that indicates this, this, and this, so we do this. Got it. Why did you choose to do that test? The book told me to. Right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, trainers know this and they don't use them. It's confusing for them. It's confusing for the client. They don't feel strong about supporting it. We recorded a video earlier today talking about exactly what you just described, which is that trainers want to be as complete as possible for their clients. They want to be able to serve their clients and solve their problems and feel valuable. They often aren't sure how to solve the problems that their clients have. And so they're afraid to make mistakes because it feels sleazy, it feels pushy to sell them a service that they're not sure they can provide. Yeah. And ownership or leadership in many gyms believes the trainers they hired already has all of the skill set that they would need to be able to do the thing, which creates an environment where the trainer can't come to leadership and say, I need help with this. I don't know how to do it, for fear of losing their job. Yeah. And that keeps our industry down. So I thought it was really cool that you brought that up.
No, yeah, it's a big one. It's so important. So important.
So I want to talk about the women in fitness, and then I want to get to the book that you wrote. Because I also wrote a book, and I what an undertaking it is, and I know how prideful I am in talking about mine. I want to hear about yours. Women in fitness. What is it, first of all? And then I have a follow-up question for you about it.
Yeah, sure. So I go back saying, I've been doing this for 18 years. I have 4 who I consider to be 4 mentors. They're all men, and I'm incredibly grateful to them and what they taught me, and how I believe they raised me in the industry. So much of it was just observing what they did, admiring it, and being like, I want to be, I want to work as well as they do one day. I want to, I thought their work was great. And then, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, obviously the industry is very different. Social media is around. It gives opportunity for a lot more comparison. And I thought, God, what if I started in the industry now? What would that be like? And I just feel like it would have been a completely different experience for me. I'm also very mindful that when you go to a lot of fitness seminars, fitness talks, fitness whatever conventions, the majority of the speakers are male. And I thought there's not a huge amount of female presence within that. So I thought, well, how can I offer the guidance that I was offered by my 4 mentors to, women coming into the industry? And also, how do I pull, because the Women in Fitness Summit, the one day is for fitness professionals and the other is for fitness enthusiasts. And so the other job that I think is important is to pull people away from perhaps what social media is telling them about fitness, and to teach them the stuff that I think is really useful and beneficial, and a bit of a breath of fresh air from what we see, on socials. And, to my, word of just going, screw it, I'm going to start before I'm ready. I was just like, right, I'm just going to get all of the awesome, female coaches that I know from different areas. So I had an immunologist speak. I had a mental performance coach speak. I had a ton of different people speak, and I was just like, I'm just going to give, women in fitness what I think is really important, what's really important to me. And I'm going to, kind of give even, some of these coaches wouldn't have even been on social media necessarily, but they're doing amazing work, and I wanted for people to see them. And so that's what that was, and that's what it became. And every year I've done the same thing. I didn't do it last year because of the pandemic. But day 1 is for fitness professionals. Day 2 is for fitness enthusiasts. And it's often companies like, oh, we'll sponsor you with snacks and we'll do it. And I'm like, no, this is, you know, spit and sawdust event. Like, they're just here for the information. There's no goodie bags. You're not getting a goodie bag to go away with. There's no frills. This is just what I feel you really need. And so that's it. That's how it was born.
So why the X in women?
Yes. So I, in more recent years, probably in the last few years, have worked with a lot of transgender individuals, specifically transgender males, born biologically as females, and they don't identify as female, they identify as male. And so if they're getting their breast removed, or if they're, I guess it's known as top surgery, their body needs to be prepared in order to undergo that. And, you know, through conversations with them, I became really more aware that they didn't necessarily feel that there was space for them in, you know, the fitness industry, in gyms, in, you know, wellness, and putting that X in there for me, because with the Women in Fitness Summit, it's for everybody, but it's particularly open. And I'm particularly speaking to, you know, if you feel like this is, you know, as a woman in fitness, if you feel like this has been, you know, missing for you, come to this event. And so by adding the X in, it also includes, you know, transgender individuals, non-binary individuals who for many, many years haven't been seen, you know, in fitness, nor felt, you know, if you even think about changing rooms, you know, where do you go? And these are all things that I have become more aware of, you know, as I've worked with these jewels. So it was just important for me to, you know, say this is for everybody. So, you know, that's why the little X is in there. I don't always use it. I use it sometimes.
So if I'm understanding correctly, and I'm asking out of genuine curiosity, if I'm understanding correctly, it's a signal to a transgender or non-binary or other that you are welcome at this event. This is a safe space for you to be in, and we would love for you to participate. Is that, because I'm asking because when I see that, I'm like, I don't know what that means. It doesn't resonate with me. And if someone spelled men with an X, like, you know, men in fitness with an X, I'd be like, I don't know what that means. It doesn't change the way I feel about it, you know? But you're telling me, if I'm understanding correctly, that there's an audience of people who would see that X and say, I understand what that means. That's a bat signal. It's safe for me to be there. That makes me comfortable. Is that correct?
Yeah, it makes individuals feel seen, and for me, that's important. So I'm biracial. I'm half Irish, half Jamaican.
I have a very good friend who's half Irish, half Jamaican.
Oh, they must be awesome.
She's pretty awesome. Which one's dad? Is dad Jamaican?
Dad is Jamaican.
Her
dad
too?
Is Jamaican. Love it. Love her. I think she's amazing. So, you know, 20 years ago, if I filled in a form, there wasn't a box for me to fill in. So in the UK, it was either you could check a box for black, you could check a box for white, you could check a box for Asian, or you could check other. And I always had to check other. And I was kind of like, why am I other? Now there are boxes for me. You know, there's you know, white mixed Caribbean. So there's a box there. So I see myself now. But there are many other people who still don't see themselves on forms.
It's so interesting how people think, because I always saw those boxes, and I'm like, okay, I guess you want me to pick white. I guess you just want normal white dude. So I check white. I always felt like I want to be other. That's how I always felt. I was like, I want to.
So we're both like,
yeah. Like, I want to be an outsider. Yeah. I don't want someone to classify me by a color. That's not what I want to be.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And so with that, you know, that's really talking to, that everyone's welcome, but equally I understand that you know, just because I've put an X in something doesn't mean that, you know, a non-binary individual or a transgender individual all of a sudden is going to feel safe in that space, you know. But what it does do is it lets them know that, you know, I know them, I see them. I don't know what their lived experience is by any stretch. But it's you know, it's the same thing. You know, I have on my client forms, you know, I have all of those different boxes to check, and whether somebody feels comfortable discussing that with me or not, they know that I'm open to a dialogue about it if it's there. Mm-hmm. So, and you know, that's all I can do. And it's there if somebody wants to, you know, talk more about it, and if they don't, that's also fine too.
Well, it's the adage that words tell me that you can spell, actions tell me what you believe, and mm-hmm. I think that what you're describing sounds like it's at least, it's the minimum. It's the mm-hmm. effort to say, I see you. If you give mm-hmm. me a chance, I will also show you. So I think that answers my question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, pleasure.
You recently wrote a book. Is that your first how to move it, right?
Yeah.
And the it is your body. Now, is this I know that it's the how-tos by Joslyn Thompson Rule. Is this the first one?
So it's the how-tos in a series by a company called Murky Books, and that's I don't know if you're familiar with the UK rap artist Stormzy, but he has a company called Murky, and together with Penguin they have Murky Books.
I gotcha.
And so they had they've got a great how-to series, and the first 3 were published in 2020. And then that they were how to write it, which was how to write a book, how to change it, which was how to become an activist, and can't remember what the third one was, but they approached me about writing how to move it. And I always thought that I would never write a book on fitness. I thought, you know, all of the, you know, fitness scholars have already written brilliant, you know, thick, heavy books that weigh down the shelves. Yeah, you know, why am I ever going to write a book?
They did, and nobody wants to read a thick, heavy book that weighs down a shelf.
Yes. But then when Murky approached me, they said, you know, we'd love for you to write a book on fitness, and we want you to talk to, you know, ableism. We want you to talk around mental health. We want you to talk. And I was like, oh, okay, right. Well, if I ever did write a book on fitness, maybe this would be it. And so it's a little pocket-sized book. It's, you know, literally you can put it in your back pocket. But what was nice about it was that it was an opportunity for me to write about the things that I felt were really important in terms of movement fundamentals, in terms of, you know, mindset, which I think is a huge thing. And it was an opportunity to write that, and you know, hopefully, you know, people would like it. And I have to say, on the publication day, I pretty much hid under a rock. I was like, I'm just gonna hide here and wait for this moment to pass. I've never read the review.
You haven't?
just
still?
Like, why would I do that to myself?
You still haven't read a review?
No. Man. Couldn't tell you what people think.
If this wasn't our first conversation, if we knew each other for a while, I would totally be going straight to Google right now. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, you know what? It's out there now. If people benefit from it, great. I mean, the feedback I've had from individuals has been, wait, so I can just start right now exactly as I am? And I'm like, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? You can
start exactly where you are.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and that was my goal, you know.
Well, it's a great goal, because it's there's too many people who believe they need to become fitter so that they can pursue fitness. No.
They have to get fit before they get a trainer.
Yes. They have to get fit before they can get a trainer. They have to get fit before they can join the gym. And I think that there are multiple things at play here, but the 2 biggest ones are they're lacking education from a credible source that they can understand. And the industry needs to stop pretending that it services people who need to make real life change, and start building processes to service people who need real life change.
Yeah.
You know, I like to push people. who hire me for service. I think it's valuable to be pushed, because if you are unwilling to defend your beliefs or defend your statements, then you don't truly have them. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I remember when I first got challenged, somebody, well, in a way that I can really remember, it was, why do you do this? Oh, for my family. So if they died in a car accident tomorrow, you would retire, you would quit, you'd find a new career. Well, no. Okay, well then that's just a cute thing that you say. You know? And it was cool because I'm like, oh, that's a belief that like that is as true as the gravity to me. Mm-hmm. So, and now it's all of a sudden gone. And I like to ask people, you know, why'd you get into this business? I want to change people's lives. Okay. How many people have worked with you who needed all of your attention when you were with them and much of your attention when they were not, so that you could change their life? They usually will say one or two, which means none. It means I'm sure there were one or two. I just can't remember who they were.
Yeah, and they're so memorable.
Yes. And it's not to knock the people we work with, obviously. You know, this is, we want to arm them with the education to be able to serve those kinds of people. And before a lot of them work with us, they didn't necessarily feel confident enough to serve that kind of person. And good on them for not over-promising, under-delivering. The fitness industry, though, is looking for somebody who is typically generally healthy, who wants to become fit, instead of looking for somebody who is like, the first workout could literally be, we're going to go for a walk and see how long we can hold a conversation while we walk. Yeah. That's where we need to be starting. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because there are so, and that's also, I think that even coaches make that mistake of, you know, oh, you know, the industry is so saturated. There are still way more people not looking after their health than there are people looking after their health. So don't worry that there's not going to be, you know, enough. But also, you know, my most memorable client for me said to me, Joslyn, this is going to be nothing to you, but I can tie my shoelaces for the first time in 6 months. And I've never forgotten that. I have never, because that changed his life. You know, he was embarrassed to tell me because he was just like, oh, you know, you must be interested in people who can run with it. No, you can tie your shoelaces for the first time. Not the first time in his life, obviously, but, you know, the first time since in a long time. That's incredible. You know, so it's amazing. And those are the moments, those are the things that you're like, yes. Well, and it's unlikely, and I could be shooting myself in the foot here. You didn't help that person in a group of 20 people at the same time, writing a general workout for all of them to do the same way, and then holding the one person up who had success as like your testimonial success case. When if the follow-up to that was, how many people came to you that did not get that success? Yeah. What happened to them? Yeah. That is something that for me, I aggressively want to solve with the industry, because it's natural. You get a client who gets a great result, you hold them up to tell the world how great this client did, to celebrate them and to build credibility in yourself. Totally reasonable that you would do that. How many people came to you wanting that same result who weren't willing to do the work that person did, who didn't get that result because you didn't meet them where they were? Yeah. We need to reduce that number. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So, Joslyn, I'm enjoying speaking with you. I could speak with you much longer, that's for sure. My wife would say we should go to London and we should meet her in person, because she studied in London. I'm here for it. She studied in London. Yeah. Oh, amazing. She loves it. It's one of those places that, if I'm being honest with the world, I've avoided, because it's kind of like when someone else tells you, oh, it's the best band in the world, and you're like, I'm not even going to listen to them. You're like, yeah, I already hate it. Yeah, that band sucks. That's totally me. Watch that on Netflix. No. Right. But eventually I'm going to get, I'll cave and we'll go. Is there anything? Well, let me know when. I will. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you feel like would be valuable to shine a light on? I think just probably going back to
the area of, feeling uncomfortable and, doing uncomfortable things. I think that, for me, there's kind of 3 types of, work that you have to do throughout your lifetime on repeat. And that is, you need to do that kind of inner work, whether it is journaling, whether it's going to therapy, whether it's whatever it is, getting the stuff that you don't want to face, getting some of that out. Then I also believe you need to do the outer work, the action taking, the kind of taking leaps, the doing things that are a little bit scary, but that move you along. And then you have to do the review work as well. And that is then looking back on, again, those 3 questions: what went well? What would I do differently? What am I going to do next time? And I think that people can often get stuck in one of those 3 and think that they have to stay there before they can move on. So you'll find one person who's like, oh, no, I need to, fix all of my childhood, whatever, before I can take action. No. Do bits of that. Or you just get the people who are taking action, not really sure where they're going because they're not really reviewing any of it, and just going until they stop and they're like, why have I not got anywhere? Well, actually, because you've just been acting without thinking about it. Or you have then the people who just live in complete regret. They look back and they're like, oh, everything was just a disaster. I can't take action anymore. And I think it's a rotation of the 3 on repeat throughout life. And for me, that is then the growth piece. That's how you get to continue to grow. And 70% of it is uncomfortable.
At least
it's finding that, just be going, what, just 30%? Oh, okay.
You know what I always find interesting? Everyone I talk to who I would like to be in my sphere of influence, they all say the same things. They say it in their own language. They say it with their own spin, and they all say the same things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times people need to hear it from people who they want advice from, people who they're following, people who they value the opinion of, before they just adopt it.
Yeah.
And
I'm guilty of that too.
Well, we all
being
are.
Like, oh, I heard that 10 times. I think I'm going to listen now.
Yeah, we all are. I'm not where I want to be in life, and I don't know that I ever will be. It's a constant chase of the next false peak, if I'm being honest. The thing that I'm speaking to is the sheer welcomeness of discomfort. The more of that you can have. What you do with it is up to you. But it's I like to call it actionable self-awareness. I'm aware of this. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to take action on it. Or, by the way, my action might be, I'm not going to do anything. I decided, though.
Yeah.
You have to know first. If you know, then you can decide. Like, you might have heard the same thing 10 times and said, I don't want to do that. And the reason why you don't want to do that is probably because you either don't understand the value of it. Just because they said it doesn't mean it's true. You're not sure how to do it, or the other side isn't worth it. That's okay.
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Joslyn,
so cool.
Thank you very much for jumping on the show with me today. Where can people find you? Because I'm sure they're going to be looking.
Sure. So I'm probably on Instagram most. So that's just Joslyn Thompson Rule. And then my website is joslynthompsonrule.com. So that's where you can find me. Come to the Women in Fitness Summit, do the thing. It's all good.
Is it digital? Is it a digital event or a live event?
We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
It depends.
It's usually live. But I was like, you know what? I've done too much Zooming for it to be a digital one. So we'll see.
You're not kidding. I spoke live to an audience for the first time last week, and it was
how was that?
Exhilarating. It was amazing. Great. Like, I mean, I have a sound that I like more than any other sound in the world, and it's the sound of my own voice coming out of my own mouth. I love it. Let's be truthful. Until I listen to it on tape, then I'm like, oh, God.
Someone shut him down.
Someone tape that guy's mouth shut. But while I'm using it, I'm like, you're great. You're so great. So that alone was great. But being in a room with 60 other people, 70 other people who were just optimistic and there and present, it was exhilarating.
Yeah. No doubt. I'm looking forward to more of it. It's, even the hands-on stuff. I'm such a tactile coach, so tactile. And that, you can't even do that. Like, that is just like, oh, I just want to get my hands on. So soon come. It will happen soon.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please be sure to head to wherever you listened to it and give us a quality review, as well as 5 stars if you can spare them. If you want more from us, feel free to follow all of our social media accounts at Active Life Professional, Active Life RX, and Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram. Remember, at Active Life, we believe that the healthcare clinic of the future is the gym, and the healthcare provider of the future is the coach. We also believe that future is now. Time, bro.